My name is Suellen Newhouse Cupp, and I live in Reno, Nevada. I'm actually originally from Bakersfield, California, but most of my adult life I've lived in Oregon. Most recently I've been a professor of art at Western Oregon University, and actually it's there that my interest in painting images that relate to the deaf culture began. I remember it was at a lecture, a beginning of the year presentation by the president of the university, and I was watching the president and not hearing anything that she was saying because in fact there was an interpreter there, and all I could do was I was transfixed by the interpreter that day, and it was there that I conceived of the idea of painting full-scale images of people signing. Because I love Italian painting, and Giotto is one of my favorite painters, and he did a series of grisaille paintings of the vices and virtues, and so that's how the concept of that original series began. So I did a series of 9 paintings of people signing. I learned there that I could utilize my interest in the gesture. Gesture, to me, the implied movement in a painting has always been really interesting. Implied life or movement. Goya is one of my favorite painters. So then the paintings were completed and were exhibited in Oregon and then also at Gallaudet University. And Gallaudet, I was so honored to have them travel there for a conference. And it was there that a couple people saw the paintings. One professor here, Paula Gersovic, saw my paintings, and she communicated to me through email that she responded to what I was doing, and it was such a great thing because in fact there was a lot of tension within the university. I shouldn't say a lot, but I felt some tension at Western Oregon University with some of the interpreters that I was using the deaf culture in my art without having much involvement in the deaf culture. So having the support from Paula meant a great deal. And then I continued to make some more images that related to signing. They were drawings. So then I had another exhibit. This series began because I was working on images relating to the circle because I had lost both of my parents. 9/11, I think, changed everyone. My death of my dog. And then I got married. There were so many positive and hard things going on at once. And a friend of mine in Connecticut, she's a writer, and she used to joke with me about the circle of life. Oh, circle of life, Suellen, circle of life. Well, even though it was a joke in the Lion King relationship, I felt like, yes, that's what I have to keep thinking of, is things will come around. So I had started a series of works that related to the circle, and when I was invited to participate in mythology, I thought, well, story, myth to me is stories, implies stories that help explain or help us understand the mystery of life. And so for me, the circle does that. And when I did these paintings, I had to find some people who are deaf so that I could work with them and have it be a collaboration. So I met some high school students. They were so excited to be a part of the project, and so I asked them to think of circle and think of signs that had some relation to circle. So that was a long discussion with them. And so they actually chose the sign that they are using in the paintings. And it was so exciting to me because each of them has multiple meanings. I don't think they're just about bubble. Tessa is signing bubble, and she's blowing bubble gum, and she's 14 years old, and she's full of vim and vigor and fighting, and also stubborn, but also hopeful. So there's a lot of, I think it's not just a happy painting. So I like the tensions there. And James also is signing, using the sign team. And for him, that's being on the football team, but also being a tribes member. So they all took it very seriously in a very different way. So for me, these are portraits as well as images that support the idea of unity in a way, which I think of as a circle, as a symbol of unity. I chose to paint on panel because I like the hard surface, and I think perhaps if I lived near This campus I might have done larger paintings, with more of the body, but I wanted to keep them, somewhat of a scale that would be transportable. These are oil on panel. I like messing up the surface, and then I do use photographs as resource, and a couple of them I did have the people come to the studio, so I added some information from life as well. But I think the biggest challenge, of course, is to realize that movement in the sign. I was extremely honored to be invited to be a part of the show, being the only hearing person who is an artist in the show. I'm actually somewhat shy about being invited and speaking about being the only hearing artist. I think of us as all artists. However, let me say that I know very well how much I'm going to learn just today, being surrounded and I don't know, I feel supported being here. I feel excited to see the work. I think there's some really amazing, interesting images here, and I only just started seeing them. I would say, in general, there's a mystical aspect to the mythology and very personal images that I can read a great deal into. Personally, I'm really responding to the abstractions that are somewhat Rothko-like, little early Rothko. I think those are really, really beautiful. And also some of the photography. I don't think they're classical photographs. It's fascinating to see the integration of new ideas, I guess. This is my circle, and this is oil on panel. I began it thinking of a number of things. However, as a central aspect to it, I was thinking of charm bracelets that, in fact, I've never had one, but I've always liked the idea that a number of pieces of information come together that have meaning to you. And I also always have loved the painting of Matisse of the dance, the circle of the dance. So the circle idea came into these two pieces in that I just wanted to just have a plethora, a bunch of a lot of information. So this is my circle, and in a simple way, it has my life in it. I always have loved donuts, and the cruller is just my favorite donut. And my husband is here. He's water and sand, and I think of waves. So all of the information that I have here is circular. And I really could have loaded this with more information, but it just kind of came around to being just about right. I have always loved halos as an idea, and hula hoops, balls. This is actually representing my son, our son. We've just adopted 2 children. So the circle is coming together for us in that, this is Thomas and this is Anna. Anna is, they're both just amazing children, wonderful kids. Thomas is 8 and she's 10. And this is actually an image coming from early medieval times from Norway. I'm Norwegian descent, and I was fascinated at the British Museum to find a number of small medallions that all were circular, and I think they relate to vestments, some kind of buckle or a clasp for a cape, but they're quite small. So lemons, sunshine, limes, oranges, eyeballs, coffee, mirrors, water, skirts. One of my very first painting I found when my mother passed away, I found of a girl dancing, twirling a skirt. So to me, that's just coming full circle. And I used to weave baskets. I love basketry as an idea, so that's also something that holds and is circular. This is Mother's Circle. The title of the painting is Mother's Circle, and my mother passed away in 2002, and she was huge for me. She's always there. She's my dearest friend, and so her passing away was really hard, and I hadn't done a painting in her honor for this whole time. And so I thought at this moment, this is perfect, because she is, to me, my eternal mother. And I would say that I could probably do about 4 paintings that are similar to this, because there's so many images that kept coming up for me for her that were circular, and so this is the first one, I think. The way that I represented the subjects I thought was kind of funny. It's kind of light and cartoony a little bit, but I also felt like it was fun to have it be light because she was just a brilliant person, funny, smart, but also very deep thinking. She was a knitter, she cooked, she loved to drive, she couldn't sit still. She had 5 children, she loved to bake, and she was always moving, and she was always very playful. She was a seamstress, and we love citrus. I have citrus in my painting too. We both love the sunshine. And she was never late, always on time. And she liked to play dominoes, and she liked marbles. She liked using the metaphor of marbles all the time. I'm losing my marbles. And she's moving, as I said, you know, she couldn't sit still, and I think of the egg as a symbol of mother. And vanity was something that she fought a lot, I think, so I thought of the mirror. Vanity as something that was important to her. And also, well, it's hard to say that in a few words, but she knit, and she loved jelly beans, and she's the breast, she's the mother. And so these colors, I think that's probably, if I were to do a series of paintings of mother, then I would have a lot of range of color. This is just what happened to me for this painting. So when I painted this, I thought of how much she influenced me.